What does a Predacon say?
Hey there, it's me again. Welcome back to eBEFORei Video Reviews. Today I'm taking a look finally at the Beast Hunters Predacons Rising FIRE Predaking. Now this is, in theory anyway, a good idea for a toy because we already got two versions of Predaking already, or two different sizes I should say. We had a Voyager size, which was a pretty good figure, but not quite to scale of what we saw on the television show. And then we had a Cyberverse figure who was, about the size of like Minnie Mouse. So I'm hoping that this one ends up being big, but is it too big? Is there any such thing as too big? I've heard no, but that's a whole other story. We're going to take a look at this figure. Before we open this up, let's take a quick look at the box. This is a big box. I'm having to back this camera way up just so you can see the whole thing in frame. So it's a pretty big deal. Available only at Target symbol, so I'm pretty sure this is available elsewhere in the world, but in the United States it's a Target exclusive. You have the Beast Hunters box, logo here on the bottom, Predacons Rising, pretty neat picture here of Predaking, huge 21-inch wingspan, and light up fire breath, exclamation point. So you're supposed to really care about that. This is for ages 5+. It does say that 2 alkaline batteries are required, but they're not included. However, they want you to go ahead and power up with Duracell because Duracells are expensive and they're sponsoring this toy and they'd really like you to buy that. In all seriousness, I do find it kind of odd that a toy of this price range wouldn't come even with some throwaway crappy batteries, but it is what it is, and I've got some here around the house I'll dig out in a few minutes. On the back of the box, you can see that he's intermediate level 2, this huge 21-inch wingspan, light up fire breath, otherwise known as digital halitosis. He has an Infernum blade. Infernum? I'm sure that means something. I'm just not familiar with that term. Dual missile launchers. There's his dragon mode. You've got all the logos and everything you could possibly want in a box. On the side of the box, you've got the little bio. And on the other side, you have his technical specs. Now this is a set of tech specs. His strength is a 10, intelligence an 8, speed is a 9, endurance 10, rank 10, courage 10, fire blast 10, cooking omelets 10, skill is a 6. So he's not very good at cooking omelets, but boy are they tasty. On the bottom of the box, they want you to buy this worthless the Optimus Beast Hunter Optimus Prime, sold separately in case there's any confusion. So the long and the short of it is, that's the box. Let's go ahead and get this figure out of the package and see if FIRE Predaking is worth your time, money, and additional purchase of batteries. Alright, here's the mighty Predaking in beast mode, and I can't tell you how impressive this thing is. Quite really, I wasn't expecting anything quite this nice. The fact that this was birthed out of the whole weaponizer gimmick, the Optimus Prime weaponizer was terrible. Just terrible. And the Bumblebee, it had some potential, I guess, but I didn't like that one either. So when I heard that they were making this kind of a leader-ish class Predaking, but in that simple vein that Optimus Prime and Bumblebee were in the weaponizers, I wasn't real super excited about it, but I gotta tell you, having this in hand and transforming it a few times, this to me is the far superior version of Predaking available today. This beats the Voyager version that's currently been available for a while. And of course, this beats any Cyberverse Commander version. And yeah, nothing touches this incarnation of Predaking. Let's take a closer look. The head sculpt on this guy is just fantastic. It's got this little gimmick lever right here. And when you pull this down, his mouth opens up and it's got a little battery gimmick in there. The top of his head lights up. I will say that he's mistransformed in package. So if you're not one for instructions, these legs are all messed up and you gotta figure it out the right way. This is an easy to transform figure, but I'm telling you what, I know everybody's big on masterpiece figures right now. And I'm one of them. But that being said, with this guy, I almost don't even see a need for a masterpiece Predaking, because in my mind, well, this is it. Now, I've got my camera way backed up here, but I mean, the wingspan on this, I think the box says that it's got a 21-inch wingspan, and it's every bit of that. Take a quick look at the detail of the wings. I mean, you've got, in some of these bits right here, it's actually markered in or painted in black in the ridges, which is really nice. I mean, it's not something that they had to do. They didn't do it on this side. So over here, it really does look fantastic. On this side, you've got these ancient Cybertronian markings, and that's actually kind of embossed into the plastic itself. So that's just very, very cool. You've got the Predacon symbol here painted on in plastic, which looks good. Now, the instructions tell you to put these wings on in the reverse. You essentially have this on top. And while this looks cool, because you've got all these markings and such, and you can put the weapon on top, to me, well, I just think they should be displayed like that, you know? So that's the top of your Predaking. So again, that's just my take on that. Here is an even closer look at the head, and the head does look really good. When you push the gimmick lever, as I mentioned, it does open the mouth and kind of jet the neck out forward. It does light up a light. You can see that underneath there. It's not real bright or anything, and really it kind of makes you question the use of, having to put batteries on this thing. It doesn't make any sounds, but, if you want to do the Predacon dance video, well, there you go. If there's any flaw in this figure at all, it's looking from the top down. This section, there's a bit of holes and such, but the plastic's still nice. I mean, it doesn't look cheap. You know what I mean? You still have the kind of spinal column looking stuff there. See a screw, but it looks okay. Underneath, I was worried about it looking too much like a robot, and again, it really doesn't. I mean, you see his chest. The head is sufficiently hidden. So, it looks great overall. The feet are wonders. I mean, the feet look just as intimidating as they do on the show. So very nice on the feet. Not a whole lot of paint applications overall. You can see they've got this kind of orange sunburst right there on the head. And then the little detail on the wings that I'd already mentioned. You've got a little bit of silver burst down here on what becomes a shoulder spike. So that's kind of neat. Got silver under the tail, silver on the back of the tail. And this actually looks like a blade. So you can tell that this guy's just sharp and prickly and dangerous. Now on the bottom of the wings, you've got these little crossbows. I've just taken this one out. So you get an idea of what it looks like up close. It is spring-loaded. A lot of nice plastic detail. There's no paint on this per se. But it's got a good bit of spring, so when you push this button right here, it takes off. So pictures don't quite do Predaking justice. I mean, I'll tell you, when I see this guy in the box in stores, I've never really been that tempted to pick it up, and I could not have been more wrong. In beast mode, this figure looks fantastic. And in robot mode, even more so. Let's go ahead and get him transformed. Now, the only bit of parts former that you have on this guy is the tail, and you really just, like all Predacon figures, just want to unplug that, just like that. So you got tail in hand. Just kind of toss that aside for now. You want to tilt the whole figure up like that. You want to come down to the foot portion. And inside this thigh right there, you've got this piece of plastic that's actually tabbed in. So when you lift it, you kind of turn it, you see where that plastic was tabbed into that side of the leg right there. And you want to just lift that all the way around, take your finger or your thumb, lift up that knee piece so you have clearance. You hear those ratchets, bring the knee down, and you basically want to just plug that tab into that slot right there. So you're going to lift it all the way up, back into place, and from there, you have a finished leg. You want to do the same thing, rinse and repeat on the other side. Pull this out, snap it down, lock it into place, turn your figure around, and there you have the bottom half of your Predaking. Now the top looks a bit of a mess, so what you want to do is you want to just take these bits right here, which are his arms. You take these parts, these are his hands, and you just want to collapse them together like that. Do the same thing on the other side, just kind of bring it down, collapse it, and you build his hand right there. You can reach underneath, take these shoulder spikes, just lift those up just like that. And you kind of fidget around with the arms and get them into position of how you like it, but that's pretty much what you do there. Then you want to take this dragon head, and you want to pull it down just like that. And looking around on the back side, you're just going to tuck the head in, just like that. So he has kind of a Grimlock, dino head on the back, which is okay. Come back around to this side. You're going to turn his head around, just like that. Now you want to take the wings, and these wings, I should mention, they come off real easy. Just pull these little cylinders. You actually need to take these off to get the batteries in. And these just detach and come off, but we're going to leave it on right now. You want to just kind of accordion this in. And then bring that part down. Now, there's many different ways that you can do this, but that's the way that I like to do it. So we'll take that off. We'll accordion that around, and then bring this bit down, and that looks incredible sitting behind him. At this point, you're just basically ready to stand him up, pose him up, and there we have Predaking in his robot mode. I know the transformation was simple, I get it. That's why I say that he's not quite at masterpiece level. But the positive side is the transformation is simple, and this guy looks fantastic. Now in robot mode, you can take his tail, and it's got a little handle on it. You can plug that into his fist right up here. If you turn that around, it's got a little peg there. You can stick that right into his fist and kind of clamp his arm around it. So he has his sword right there. I mean, this figure is enormous. I have to back this camera up just so you can see it. But that's kind of a neat look. Then you can take his other hand and you could take this little rocket launcher, or whatever you want to call it. You can plug that into his other hand. It could also go into his arm. Right up there, there's a peg. There's a couple of pegs that you can put that into. Stick it on his back. I mean, you can do, whatever you want. And you've got just a fantastic looking figure. So there's Predaking's face up close, and that looks really nice. You can see he's got some pretty decent light piping back here. Kind of comes through with his crest or his little section on top of his head. There's no soft plastic like the Voyager figure had. It's all real hard here, which is nice. Again, you don't have a ton of paint. I suppose if there was a masterpiece version of this figure, that's what I would ask for. You see he's got the silver right here, and orange in the neck, yellow bits in the abdomen, the kind of fireburst orange coming up to yellow on his legs, and the same thing in the arms. Now this is not just an oversized figure with no articulation. The head it's not on a ball joint, so he can only look left and right and kind of spin him around if you want to. Like an owl. His arms, he's got ratchets everywhere. So ratchets in the shoulder, ratchet right there underneath, a swivel there on the arm, a ratchet elbow, and a ball joint in the hands themselves, and a hinge so you can open that hand up and close it. Legs, again, you got ratchets here, ratchets there, got a swivel above the knee, ratchet at the knee, and foot pivot. There's a ball joint in the foot, so you've got lots of foot articulation. Size comparison, there he is next to Masterpiece Soundwave. The head is not specifically taller, but by the time you have that crest that kind of sticks up, he has a little bit of an edge, and the shoulders seem to be on pace with Soundwave. Certainly a lot thicker of a figure, and quite frankly, he's pretty darn intimidating. So final thoughts on FIRE Predaking. This guy is not cheap, and he's only available in limited shops in the United States. It's a Target exclusive. So my advice to you is this. If you already have the Voyager version of Beast Hunter's Predaking, and you feel like you're good, you don't need another one, then by all means, skip this figure. However, if you really want what I consider to be very, very close to what would be a masterpiece version of this figure, this is going to be it. He does not have a complex transformation. Some may ding that against him. He's not overly filled with paint. Some may ding that against him. But he's a huge, imposing figure, 21-inch wingspan in beast mode. Robot mode, he's got great articulation. He looks great. He really looks intimidating. The wings don't look all goofy and sticking out in the back. And you can see there's not a ton of back cable there at all. So all in all, I have to say, surprisingly so, I very highly recommend this figure. If you see him, you want a big hulking version of this guy, you don't mind the simple transformation and the battery light-up gimmick, pick him up. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. Anyway, thanks again for watching eBEFOREi video reviews. Don't forget that I'm running a contest. I'm giving away MP15, right there, Rumble and Ravage, or Jaguar. All you need to do to enter is click on the video of this thing, which is in the description of him, and follow the instructions. That's it. Very simple. So hopefully you will be the one to pick this up. So best of luck to you. Lots of things coming up. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again real soon.